When I embarked on this journey, I had no idea that I was going to lose more than just weight. Like, I was not prepared for what was to come. I ended up losing friends. I lost the man that I thought that I was going to marry. At one point, I lost who I was. And not only did I not recognize who I was physically looking at in the mirror, but who I was in general. Hi guys, I'm super excited to be doing this vlog today. It's been a long time coming. So I had the gastric bypass surgery in April of 2013. So I'm about 10 years out, a little over 10 years. I lost, at the most, I lost 167 pounds, and I gained about 20 of that after I stabilized. I gained about 20 back, and thank God, because I was looking pretty rough. Yeah, it was like sickly, skinny, but I was also a full-blown alcoholic. So we'll get into that. That will be a part of my story. I don't know if I'm gonna tell my entire story all right now. Before I decided to have this surgery, I was 305 pounds. I went to go visit some family that hadn't seen me in a little while, and they told me that there was nothing that I was gonna be able to do about my weight, and I needed to look into having surgery. And I was not convinced. I was not going to make some sort of shameful commitment like getting surgery to fix my fat issues. And I went and I worked out with a personal trainer for almost a year. I changed my diet. I was eating healthy, I thought. I was eating smaller portions, I thought. And I was working out enough, I thought. My best friend went and posted a picture of us on Facebook. So now this is like 2012, right? And it's the main source of social media. Everybody's on it. If you don't have it, you're not cool, the whole nines, right? So I thought that there were rules to your best friend posting Facebook pictures. And number one would be, if this was me, would I be okay with this picture going up? But I'm glad it happened, because the moment I saw it was the moment I made the decision that was going to change my life for forever. When I saw that picture, I was like, after all the hard work that I have been doing, after all the salads that I have been eating, after how many times that I was starving to death, and I chose to eat carrots or celery or raisins or a piece of chicken the size of my palm, and that is what I look like, I made the decision to investigate what surgery I wanted to do. I went through the whole process, and I chose the gastric bypass Roux XY because I felt like it had the results that I wanted. Like I said, I was 305 pounds. This was 10 years ago. There wasn't a lot out there. I think I saw, gosh, I want to say there was only one person that I was able to find at that time where I could track her journey from before she had the surgery all the way up into like a year after her surgery. And I stalked her. I watched every single video, was Googling as much information as I could, reading as many stories as I could. And I got wrapped up into the community with the guy that I had my surgery with. So that was Dr. Whitgrove out of Scripps Memorial. And he was the first doctor to ever perform the laparoscopic bypass. He had a community in the city that I'm from, And I would go to their support groups before getting, as I was getting prepared for my surgery. I met a lot of people that were between 5 and 10 years out from their surgery, and they did not look like they had had the gastric bypass surgery, and that was very concerning for me. Also, one of my biggest takeaways in going and embarking on this adventure, because from the moment that I was introduced to some of these people, and I found out that they had definitely had the surgery and at one point had lost X amount of weight, but standing in front of me at that moment, it was as though they had either returned to their weight, surpassed their weight, or almost to the weight they were before they had the surgery. It is very scary to me that I would go through something that was so serious and possibly end up back in the exact same boat. So I talked to a lot of people, and that includes people who had never had the surgery, and people who I knew people who had the surgery, people who I wanted to confide in, because I knew that I was going to have the surgery, and I was seeking support from people that I didn't want judgment from. And what happened? Judgment. So when it came to getting to my surgery date, it got closer and closer and closer, and I've already have a group of people around me that I feel like I can't be honest with, because they're telling me things when I was inquiring, like, why would anybody take that route? That's lazy. You just need to work out. You just need to change your eating habits. You need to do this. And were shaming me for asking about it. And I don't know if it's because maybe they knew that I was seriously thinking about it, and that where there's a will, there is a way, and were honestly not in a position where they themselves could have had the surgery. And that doesn't mean that they didn't want it or that they didn't need it, but it was not an option for them. And I didn't take that into consideration when I knew it was going to be an option for me. And so instead, I started to feel really guilty about what I was doing, but I wasn't going to not do it. And so here I am prepping to go. I have to leave. I have to go to California. I have to go for 2 weeks, and this is where my lies started. I told everyone that I was taking a vacation. I didn't tell anybody about my surgery. I came home. I basically hid from people as I was in my recovery, because I wasn't my normal self. And my normal self also liked to consume alcohol, and that was not something that I was able to do. So I had lied about why I was going on my vacation. I lied while I was on my vacation about what I was doing, where I was, and I came home and continued to lie. When I bounced back to normal, I would say I was fully functional and up and moving as though nothing had ever happened about 3 weeks after I had the surgery. And I will post more videos, and I'll talk about what those first few days were like after the surgery, and so on and so forth. But for right now, I'm just gonna focus on the shame, the guilt, and the consequences of that. So 3 weeks after I had the surgery, I'm ready to socialize with my friends. And I had been warned about the alcoholism and gastric bypass having a link. They let us know. In fact, I actually went through extensive classes that were so vital to the things that I was gonna go through. And one of them was about my relationships. It was about my friends. It was about those who are around you will fall into judgmental behaviors, jealousy, you'll lose friends, divorces have happened, relationship breakups, all those things. that alone was one day's worth of education for one class that I had to participate in. One of the other days was all about alcoholism. So here I am, I get my friends together, and we are all around, we're in our early 20s. And so what are we doing? Of course, we're drinking. And I'm taking like half shots. And people are questioning me, why aren't you doing this? And I'm like, oh, I just have so much to do tomorrow, or I have this I have to do. And I would make all these excuses to make myself sound more responsible, when just a few weeks ago, I was the epitome of not responsible blackout drinker, and that had been basically my story for years. At that rate, like 4 years. I didn't drink every single day, but every single time I drank alcoholically. I drank myself into a blackout, and I felt like, well, I'm young, that's what we do. This is normal. So I continue to lie, and I'm making myself seem like I'm responsible, and it's literally no time at all. Weight starts falling off. Every single week when I have people that are coming over that are wanting to visit me, I am dropping 5 to 10 pounds, depending. And it's absolutely insane. When I hit that 50-pound mark, nobody could hold their tongue anymore. Nobody. Everyone, what are you doing? What are you eating? What is your diet? What are you doing at the gym? Because it was very obvious that I was losing weight rapidly. And the only time that I had lost weight rapidly was when I did the HCG diet or a low carb diet. And so here I am, I've told nobody about this surgery, and all of a sudden I'm just shedding weight like crazy. And now I'm lying again, and I'm telling them, oh, I'm just eating low carb, and I'm doing this, and I'm doing that, and I'm working out. And I did go get a gym membership, and I did go and work out. Not enough to make me feel good about the things that I was saying, or the false hope that I feel like I might have been giving to, that I was giving to the people that were like, holy smokes, what's going on? Eventually, I did break down, and I told everybody. And this was, I think I was down this is about a year post bypass. I couldn't handle it anymore. I could not handle trying to, people did stop asking me what I was doing, but the weight was still falling off so tremendously that rumors started spreading that I was on drugs, which is understandable considering the amount of weight that I was losing, and my alcoholism was really kicking at that point. So you still couldn't tell me that I was an alcoholic. You could not tell me that I did not have control over it. I owned my own business at the time. I was working also almost full-time with another company. I was helping my dad out at his office when he needed me. I was raising my daughter, and I had everything that I needed. I was on top of the world. You absolutely could not tell me that what I was doing was wrong. And then on top of that, I'm like almost 100 pounds lighter. Oh man. When you go from being in a position in your life where you are the duff, you are the friendly, you are the comfortable, you are the friend of the hot friend, and you're kind of like the gatekeeper of all of your hot friends. The one that the guys come up to and they ask about her and what is she like and what does she like to do and what can I talk to her about, and you only have one store that you can shop at. you step into a whole new world. And that world welcomed me with open arms, shot glasses, and I didn't know how to handle it. So thankfully, I had gotten to that point where I couldn't handle not telling anyone that I had had this surgery, and I broke down and I told everybody the truth. And I said I had gastric bypass, I didn't tell anybody, and this is why. I felt so ashamed of the decision that I was making, as though I wasn't making the best decision for me. As though everyone else's thoughts, feelings, and opinions mattered more than mine. And so the doctor had asked me when I was going through all of the pre-op and the screening and everything was about my photos, and he wanted to know what my photos looked like. And I was very confused. It was like, what do you mean? And he asked me if I were to look at all of my photos of myself, if they would be from here up. And I hadn't thought about that before, but for years, every single one of my photos was from here up. I think the last time that I had had a full body photo was, well, there was one where I was at a party and I was standing with my friends, and I'm like hiding myself, right? I'm positioning myself so that way you can't see everything, and I'm dressed in all black. Before that, I want to say the last full body photo I had had was probably at prom. And that was a big realization for me. And he said that that's something that we do subconsciously when we are ashamed of who we are. And I thought that was very interesting because I never really thought about that before. I didn't acknowledge my body, even though I was wearing it. Every single day, I knew that I was overweight. Every single day, I knew that I needed to do something about it. Every single day, I thought I was actively doing something about it. But what I didn't understand was my addiction that I had to food. And had I understood that, which there's, honestly, without the surgery, there is no way that I feel I could have understood that. Because when I had the surgery, I learned how to listen to my body. My body would talk to me in ways that I never noticed before. My nose will start to get runny. My eyes will start to get watery. I'll have different sensations that are happening inside of me when I've had enough, or when I've had too much of a substance, whether that's carbs or sugar or just whatever I'm not supposed to have. If it's cake, frosting, and it's so crazy to me because obviously with alcoholism, there's gonna be a lot of sugar intake. And maybe it was just the alcohol itself that made me not feel it. But now, even to this day, 10 years post-bypass, if I have too much sugar or frosting or eat even half a piece of a normal size piece of cake, which I guess isn't that normal, what was normal to me turns out isn't even normal. But I didn't know that. I didn't know that the amount of food that I was eating was astronomical compared to what I still, 10 years post-op, am eating in size portions. But my body talks to me and it tells me, hey, stop. Hey, you've had enough. I had to learn that though. So after having the surgery, just because you've had it, just because you've made this life-changing decision, just because you've done all of this pre-op work, you've done the blood work, you've seen the psychiatrist, you've seen a therapist, you've met with your primary care, you have done your weight loss plan, your diet plan, whatever else that they're requiring of you, you've done it all. And now you're spending all of this money to go and have this surgery, and guess what? You wake up and you're still addicted to food. I went through it my first couple of days. When they took me from the hospital and brought me back to my hotel room, I remember my mom and my grandma were like, hey, we're gonna go get some food. We'll be back in about an hour. Call us if you need anything. We're not gonna go very far. And instantly, I was pissed. I was so mad. I was like, oh, you're gonna go eat? I mean, fuming with resentment. And I didn't understand it, but I was still feeling it. When I was finally able to eat something other than Jell-O and protein water, it was beans and cheese. And it was the best beans and cheese I ever had. And I wanted so much of it, but I couldn't handle it. And that upset me too. And the fact that I couldn't eat more of it, my body, my mind, my tongue, my everything was not understanding. And so it created this anger inside of me, and this anger that I wasn't expecting. Like, why am I angry that I can't eat more? And like I said, I didn't even know anything about addiction. I can honestly say I didn't even think I was addicted to food. I thought I got dealt a bad hand, I thought I got the shitty deck or whatever. I was adopted. I didn't know who my family was. I didn't know what they looked like. And it was easier for me to blame them and not blame them, but my genes. It was easier for me to blame that and say that I can't help it than it was for me to admit that I had an astronomical eating issue. But it's fine because it's solvable and it's fixable as long as you learn how to listen to your body. And that is one of the things that this surgery taught me. But I was not prepared for all of this emotional portion of my addiction. You want to know why? Because I'd always given into it. Some way, somehow, I always gave into my addiction. And that was what came to my mind like a light bulb when the doctor asked me to go through all of the diets that I've been on, how long I was on them for, how much weight I lost, and how long I kept that weight off for. My chances of continuing that pattern without the surgery were 100% in my mind. Probably, I'll give myself a 2% leniency that I made permanent, long-lasting changes. 2%. Because I just hadn't done it, basically. I had never done it at that point in time. And so I knew that I needed something else. I needed something different. I needed an opportunity to make a change. And I did not know what that was gonna look like. And when I got out of surgery and that addiction was so strong, I was so scared because I was sneaking around. I was trying to eat food that I knew I wasn't supposed to. Pizza, cake, cookies, Rice Krispies, brownies, ice cream, sundaes, cheeseburgers. I mean, you name it. I was trying to eat it. Anything that wasn't a protein shake, I was trying to consume, and I made myself sick, so sick. I want to say probably 10 times I made myself super, super sick. And after around that 10th time, I couldn't do it anymore. It put me out for hours. I would have to lay down, and I just felt so horrible that it made me not want to consume those foods that I wasn't supposed to. And it didn't stop me. I'm not saying that it stopped me, but I would literally take a bite or two and I would call it a day because that's how bad it was. And then as soon as I started really reaping the benefits and the results from my surgery, I just wanted to keep going. I had a lot of energy. It really messed up my sleep pattern. And that's when I realized I needed to be working out. I needed to be at the gym. I needed to do something. My body is burning so much fat right now. And it's so busy doing all this stuff. I have so much energy. I can't sleep. On top of the fact that I was so excited. I mean, this life, holy moly, being able to shop at any store that I wanted, being able to go out into public and being accepted and being desired and being wanted and being someone that, you know, guys were coming up to and they were like, hey, and I was like, hey. It was exciting. I didn't know how to handle all of that. And the alcohol helped me. I never, ever, well, not ever, but like 9 times out of 10, if I was being approached by a guy, it was like for directions, or like I said, for one of my friends, you know, like they needed help with something. It wasn't because they wanted my number. It wasn't because they wanted to take me out. And so what I found is I didn't know how to interact with people. I didn't know how to socialize. I didn't know how to be on a date with somebody. And that was where drinking helped me at a tenfold. Of course, what happens when you're coping with alcohol and you're surrounding yourself with people, and like I said, my doors just opened. Like I was so much more social and I was interacting with so many more people. Well, when I want alcohol to be the baseline of all of my interactions, eventually what's going to happen is I'm going to demagnetize people who do not drink alcoholically, and I'm going to magnetize people who do drink alcoholically, who do want to wake up and have mimosas, who do want to cure a hangover with a beer bong, you know? Oh my gosh, it's just so crazy to like think back on that lifestyle and what was going on at that time. But again, so now here I am and I'm finding myself in these situations and I'm able to wear things I hadn't been able to wear before. And I had this body that I could not really show off, you know, I mean, I could, but I had to be clothed because of the way that the weight was showing, like my skin, sorry, not my weight. The way that my skin was starting to hang and just be there, you know? So there'll be more videos to come, you guys, I promise. I lost relationships, I lost friendships, not only because of my surgery, but also because of my alcoholism, that I can honestly say my surgery accelerated something that I was already doomed for when it came to my alcoholism. My daughter's father and we split up, and there's just so much that's happened in these 10 years. And I'm so thankful to be able to share this. And it's crazy that I had never even thought about doing this until just recently. And there's so many people that I can help. I want to answer any questions that you guys have. So going forward in the videos, some of the things that I'm going to cover are the relationships, the alcoholism, the lost friendships, the battle that I had mentally, physically, emotionally, and spiritually going through everything, because I didn't know how to act. I didn't know what it was gonna be like for me to go from being so obese to half the size and stepping into a completely new life. I didn't know how to handle it. I didn't know what it was going to be like. I did not even understand how cruel sometimes that this world can be. When I started drinking, none of that even mattered. And so it wasn't until I got sober that I continued to have repercussions from who I am and who I am now, and how happy I am to be who I am now. And never in a million years would I trade that day of going into that surgery for not going into that surgery. Never in a million years. And let me tell you what, I scraped my ass on the pavement and I broke down, and I was in the worst place that I've ever been in my life, the most shameful position, ridden with guilt, anxiety, and terror, honestly. And I would not change the decision that I made that day to be who I am today. So, more videos to come. Ask me anything that you want. 10 years post-op, I hope that I can answer just about any question that you have. All right. I love you. Love you, bye.